Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's Jody here, your Wednesday host for SelFTMade. Glad to be back for another Wednesday evening. Sorry I'm getting my video up late. I was meeting up with my friend to discuss some stuff about the drag show that I'm in this weekend, and it took longer than expected. But however, I am here for you all. So let's get into this week's topic, which is navigating educational institutions such as colleges, universities, community colleges, any type of setting that in regards to that and in relation to your transition, maybe getting in contact with professors about like name changes, pronoun changes, that sort of stuff. My personal experience with doing this is very limited because when um, I started transitioning my senior year of college with my undergrad, and I was never actually expecting to go to grad school at the university that I have been attending since then. Um, and then when I decided to go to grad school there, I was like, I'm in a very, very liberal degree. Everyone's really open, friendly, very accepting individuals. And so my attitude about it is I'm not coming out to them unless like I desperately have to. A lot of people that knew me beforehand, like in my undergrad, switched over pronouns immediately. And then I didn't ever tell anyone that I was going by any other name because I still go by my birth name. And so it was really cool. Everyone kind of just caught on. I went to my first year of grad school with like a beard and sideburns, and well, I had a really shitty beard at the time, but I had sideburns really going on at that point. I was about 6 months into my transition roughly, and so I had some good sideburns. My voice had changed quite a bit, and so I was just living life golden. The only experience where I did have to come out about my transition to a professor is that she was actually advocating for me. I was her research assistant on a research project, so we were doing interviews over the summer together, and another professor that had known me before was messing up pronouns, and so there was like this confusion. So she's like, approached me really cool. We had already built up a really awesome relationship at that point, and before we were doing an interview, we had a conversation about my transition and my preferred pronouns and my preferred name. And so it was really cool. And then she actually addressed that with that professor for me, which I thought was really awesome of her. She didn't have to do that. And then everything has been pretty kosher since. The same professor still messes up pronouns every now and then, a few years down the road, but it's all good. I know that she doesn't mean to do it, and I kind of just look at her really awkwardly, or I just ignore what she's saying. If she's talking to me, I just ignore her, just like I would anybody else, in this particular situation at this time. But that's about it. Now, I do have some advice for some individuals out there that I know have worked for some of my friends that have started transitioning earlier in their college career, and how it can be very, very scary. And I was nervous that people weren't going to catch on right away and having to come out. And I was figuring out all sorts of different ways of addressing it. And the easiest way that I could ever think of is if I didn't know people really, like, didn't know the professor very well or other students, like my other peers, I was going to email them. And I had an email, kind of generic email that I had worked up. And it just said, hey, put their name in there. Hey, Professor so-and-so, I just want to let you know that, I know that you've known me before. I'm now going by male pronouns. I'm still going by this name because I use my birth name, so I still go by Jodi. I've been Jodi. And, I would really appreciate you switching this over. And the same kind of general nuance for my peers or anyone else that maybe known me beforehand. But good thing I didn't have to do any of that. That type of email has worked for other people that I know that started transitioning like in their freshman, sophomore years, and they still had like 2 or 3 years left of their education. And so, I would always recommend doing it before the first day of class, especially with a professor that's known you beforehand. So then that way they're aware of the situation. And I know it can seem really scary, but typically professors, people in academics, are majority of them, I'm not going to say all of them, but a good majority of them are very liberal, open-minded individuals. They have been around LGBTQ plus individuals for quite some time. They're supportive of the LGBTQ plus community. And so sending an email to them could seem really scary at first, but I would 9 times out of 10, I'm going to say you're going to get a phenomenal email back saying, thank you, I appreciate you letting me know this information, and if you have any other questions or concerns, kind of stuff, feel free to email me or come see me, during my office hours, something generic, something like that. I'm not going to say it's generic because it'll be very sincere, not sincering, and it'll just be really mellow and really just cool. Now, some people do wait until after the first day of class, and then they'll approach the professor after the first day of class and stuff like that, or they'll just, just depending on where you're at in your transition, where you're at in your comfortability level with coming out publicly or privately to individuals. So this is all very subjective to where you're at, but I would say before the first day of school, send an email letting your professor know one way or the other. If you haven't changed your name yet, be like, Professor so-and-so, I know that on the roster it says this, I go by this is why, blah, 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 blah. And that's really it. Just something short, sweet, to the point, no big deal. And yeah, so if you guys have any other questions, comments, concerns, I can give you my email that I had generically sent out if anyone would like it at some point. Other than that, I hope you guys have a good rest of your Wednesday, and I will see you guys next week. Peace.